Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Customer Experience Life Exchange being hosted in partnership with Verint. The current economic volatility is compounding global disruption as CX leaders are under pressure to deliver a strategy that is resilient in 2024. Organizations are facing immense pressure to explore ways to advance their digital experience agenda in order to remain relevant. The big question is, how do you build a value-driven CX strategy and reshape your business for a changed customer? Today's customer wants a frictionless journey and real-time resolution. How do we achieve it? And how do we build the trust that their data is safe with us? How do we strengthen personalization? These are some of the questions that are grappling all CX leaders in today's day. A few housekeeping tips before we move on. This is a forum for you to get your questions answered. You can post your questions in the chat window, or when questions are canvassed from the webinar floor, you can unmute and ask the distinguished speaker panels yourself. Adjacent to that window is a geometric symbol through which polling can be accessed. To initiate the exchange, we'd like to run a quick poll now to gauge the pulse of the web room on two pertinent aspects. The first is, how many of us will have 100% digital business by 2026? So I'm just going to now launch this. How many of us believe we will have 100% digital CX business in 2 years' time? If we could just give our votes on that, let's take a pulse to see how far ahead in the game we are, how we benchmarking with other organizations in the region around a pillar around CX, which is actually becoming extremely relevant. So the votes are just coming in. We'll just give it a minute or so to just wait for the others to do this as well. This is anonymous, by the way, so please feel free to respond without it being picked up as to who's doing what. This is just to gauge a pulse of how Middle East is faring with regards to digital CX embracement. And clearly, there are some organizations that are obviously ahead of the curve. A lot of us are still grappling with how to do it. And I guess that's not something different to other regions, whether that's broader UK and Europe, whether that's Asia. Everybody seems to be in the same bandwagon. We will now also look at another poll, which talks about how we are servicing our changed customer. I'm going to launch another question now, which says, how many of us feel we know our changed customer and can personalize product offerings confidently? And this, again, is a very, very important question that's grappling not just the CX leaders, but even the boardroom decision makers, because eventually how you present yourself as a brand and as a product in front of consumers is becoming quite important. Amazing to see that a lot of us are ahead of the race in this, and that's very interesting to see as well. Now, moving on very quickly, I'd like to now invite Safwat Al-Shawaf, the Country Director Verint, to share his insights on AI development to maximize CX. Welcome, Safwat. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Ayusha. Let me just share my screen. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Now, let me start by asking you a question. I'm sure have you ever considered the current AI developments and thought about how they could really benefit our work? I'm sure many of us did. Now, yet as we face a flood of AI vendor announcements, the challenge still lies in applying those developments in the real world. I'm sure some of us struggle with where to begin in gaining actual business value from artificial intelligence, moving from data scientist lab projects to practical use in real world businesses. I'm Safwat Al-Shawaf from Verint, and for the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'll guide you on moving beyond the hype. I'm happy to explore with you how organizations can really leverage AI to enhance customer experience and customer engagement. Now, AI has been a hot topic lately, no doubt, largely thanks to ChatGPT and other fast emerging players. Significant investments, billions of dollars, are flowing into this field, with major announcements from OpenAI, Bard, Microsoft Cognitive Services, Meta, and xAI. Now, it's not just about ChatGPT, it's about the broader scope of generative AI and language model capabilities, revealing the possibilities of the current technology available out there in the market. Now, we've witnessed rapid progress with ChatGPT, reaching 100 million users 2 months post-launch of the platform. It has become the fastest growing consumer app ever. Media coverage has been widespread, with claims ranging from beating the stock market to even judges using ChatGPT for writing court rulings, which really shows the impact that AI can really bring into our lives, either personal or from work perspective. Now, along the way, there has been some hiccups as well, ranging from amusing incidents to more really serious issues. In Germany, for example, a man's Alexa started an unexpected solo party, prompting police intervention. On a more significant note, Alphabet has suffered a $100 billion loss in shares due to Google Bard sharing inaccurate information about the James Webb Telescope. Now, the really serious concern really arose when IBM Watson consistently misdiagnosed cancer patients with a success rate of less than 50%, which has led IBM to selling off its Watson Health business unit at a $3 billion loss from its initial investment. Now, these issues have led governments to really think of finding ways to regulate artificial intelligence. And the European Union was the first to come up with an AI Act. They were the first to come up with regulations to address concerns, and that was by establishing principles for artificial intelligence, taking in consideration safety, transparency, traceability, non-discrimination, and environmental friendliness. Now, these acts and regulations requires human oversight to really prevent harmful outcomes. So these regulations mandates the registrations of AI technology and what impacts it has to services, employment, and self-employment. These regulations force organizations to disclose the AI-generated content, also prevent illegal content, but concerns really arose over publishing summaries of copyrighted data. Now, we're still at the early stages with AI regulation, but it's expected to gain momentum globally in other societies. I do remember back in 2017, UAE, for example, was the first country to appoint a minister of AI. Saudi, for example, established also an authority for Saudi data and artificial intelligence. Now, organizations face significant challenges in meeting the growing customer demands and the increasing number of interactions, along with the channels being offered to customers, while they still struggle to fulfill the high demand customer expectations. Now, connecting these silos And the processes within the organizations for a seamless customer engagement is a priority, but this also requires the use and the provision of the appropriate tools and automation for the labor and workforce. However, these objectives are challenged by the limited number and often declined number of resources, while organizations are required to reduce cost and reduce number of resources. Now, this results into a disparity between the organizational needs and the available resources. This is what we call an Verint as the engagement capacity gap. And Verint is dedicated and committed to addressing this challenge. And it recognizes that by time, there's a potential for it to become a more serious issue and will have effect on both the customer and the employee experiences. Now, to effectively conclude and address the engagement capacity gap, organizations must follow a comprehensive approach to delivering a great customer experience. Now, this involves going beyond just assessing customer feedbacks. The focus should be on the entire customer engagement lifecycle, beginning with the pre-engagement activities, such as forecasting and scheduling to ensure adequate staffing. Additionally, attention should be given to the variety of channels offered to customers, also enabling self-service across all these different channels, whether it was calls, chat, WhatsApp, or social platforms. Now, during the customer agent interactions, emphasis should be placed on also providing the agents with the right information, with the proper knowledge and guidance to enhance the customer service. Post the interaction, evaluating the quality and compliance of interactions becomes crucial as well, along with extracting useful insights for ongoing improvements and developments. In summary, to close the engagement capacity gap, you require a holistic examination of the entire customer engagement cycle from beginning to end, taking into consideration staffing, channel offerings, agent support, and post-interaction analysis. Now, to improve the customer engagement, it's also important to gather and analyze data comprehensively. So relying solely on CX data may reveal to variances and weak scores, but combining it with forecasting and scheduling data provides a more insightful picture. For example, by correlating these data sets, one may discover that weaker CX scores often are aligned with the last hour of agent's shift. So this brings to your attention that you need to review the shift and break patterns to address the root cause of the issue. In essence, achieving great customer experience, again, requires your holistic consideration of the entire engagement process and, of course, leveraging AI capabilities. Generative AI and large language models can also play an instrumental role in unlocking the potential within your organizations. Now, to maximize the value of AI in your organization, Verint really emphasizes on three core principles for successful AI projects. Firstly, adopting an open AI platform is important, and it helps you to adopt the latest innovations out there in the market. Secondly, AI should be trained on relevant data, relevant information, rather than relying on generic internet data. Lastly, the integration of AI into the business workflows is important, moving beyond just using standalone AI engines to ensure practical use within your organizations. So at Verint, to ensure the effectiveness of AI engines, we emphasize on training models with specific customer engagement data, again, rather than using generic web information. So this involves the utilizing of millions of digital behavior points, intelligent virtual assistant sessions, unstructured comments, survey responses, and billions of calls to enhance the quality of training the data. So this is what we have used to build our DaVinci AI models. Additionally, Verint adopts an open foundation that leverages both proprietary and the commercially available models. Proprietary AI models like, for example, forecast accuracy, quality assessment, and cognitive search, while the commercially available models include OpenAI for summarization, Microsoft Cognitive Services, and Amazon Macie for review and revision of data, as well as Meta Profit model for forecasting. Now, combining both will help you to, or contributes actually to a diverse and robust AI framework. So to successfully implement an AI-powered, business-driven workflow, it's important to integrate them across the entire customer engagement journey. So this requires incorporating AI into not just customer activities, but also internal organizational tasks. So this should actually span through the entire life cycle. Examples such as recruitment processes, forecasting demand, scheduling resources, handling customer interactions, and utilizing analytics, of course. So the goal here is to enhance the performance from a quality and compliance perspective, as well as to review the customer demand drivers for effective management of customer engagements. Our approach for incorporating AI into the business workflows involves deploying a team of specialized AI-powered bots. Each bot is dedicated to a specific task, aiming to excel in its designated role by leveraging AI capabilities within the workflow. Now, we have a team of specialized AI bots that has been designed for agent augmentation, enhancing the workforce capabilities. Bots that helps them actually deliver their job to basically deliver a better and a great customer experience. Examples of these bots include the containment bot, which basically handle customers across various channels. The transfer bot summarizing conversations for seamless handovers. There's also the wrap-up bot, which summarizes conversations for CRM application notes. And the knowledge bot, which actually delivers the relevant knowledge articles to the agents based on the conversation intent. Now, these bots collectively augment agent activity, which results into a positive or has a positive impact on the customer experience and the customer engagement. Now, they also have significant financial impact in terms of cost savings. So each of those bots actually based on ROI that we have done for 1,000 agent operation have resulted into millions of savings. Now, the use of AI bots actually should be extended beyond just assisting agents. It should also include the support of other functions within the organizations. So we've built bots, for example, helps the performance and quality scoring, which really actually provide aid to the supervisors and managers to evaluate and assess the customer interactions. Also the knowledge authoring bot, which really helps transforming the corporate content into digestible knowledge articles that can be used by agents during customer interactions, or you can publish them on your website for self-service. Now, the true impact is realized and achieved when combining various bots within the business workflows. So, for example, the knowledge bot helps you to save 30 seconds per call by providing accurate information. The wrap-up bot generates conversation summaries, which helps into saving 60 seconds per call. And the scoring bot helps managers and supervisors to reduce the call evaluation by 50%. So based on a contact center operation of 2,000 agents and 250 supervisors, we were able to realize and achieve $15 million of savings annually in less than 6 months. And these figures actually were based on a true success story or a true use case for one of our customers in Turkey, which is DenizBank, one of the large private banks in Turkey that has 2,000 agents operation, and they were able to achieve those great results in 3 months and achieve savings of $15 million. We're happy to share the more details about this customer success story. We're also happy to share the link for the video for you to go through it whenever you wish. Now, thank you for your time, and I will leave you now with Ayusha and wish you a great time for the rest of the webinar.
Thank you, Safwat. That was very interesting. Does anyone have any quick questions for Safwat before we move on? Any questions from the floor? I have a very quick one for you, Safwat, and that would be that it looks like AI can genuinely be embraced for a lot of value add by organizations. I guess the critical question always comes back to what strategies can you adopt to build trust in these AI-driven interactions? Would you like to comment on that, please?
Yes, no, I mean, that's a good question, Ayusha. I mean, there's always the risk of using AI. I mean, they require proper planning. We've seen organizations where they just wanted to adopt AI to help and improve customer service, but they really didn't know where to start from. And this is what I highlighted during actually my presentation, is you really want to take into consideration the entire customer journey and see, I mean, where, I mean, you have to look at it from the beginning to the end and see exactly your pains and how they need to be addressed, and build and use automation to address those pains, rather than building something that will not address the entire journey, which will lead into poor results. So this is where actually my recommendation is proper planning.
Definitely. Thank you so much for that. Well, we move on to our next session, which is actually an amazing panel session that we have, where we talk about how AI would envisage itself in the near future. For this panel, I'd like to invite Maurice van der Heijden, the VP Digital First Engagement and XM EMEA at Verint. I'd also like to invite Kaushik Bhattacharjee, the Head of Service Excellence at Medcare, and Tamer El-Barouti, the Regional Director Contact Centers at OSN. Welcome to the webinar, Maurice, Kaushik, and Tamer.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Well, if we were to get started, I'd like to first direct a question to Maurice, given the leaps that Verint has actually been taking with AI deployment. What role does innovation in AI, like ChatGPT, play for Verint and its customers at this point in time?
Well, thank you for the question. I hope you can all hear me okay. So that's good. So, well, you saw a lot of this already in Safwat's presentation. So AI and ChatGPT is obviously a massive topic, and we see very many execs that are being challenged by CEOs about what they're doing with AI and ChatGPT. Some we even hear people in the pub talking about it. It's the ultimate measure of a hype to a certain extent, but we do see a lot of execs actually wrestling over what to actually do with it. So what is actually the use case in the mainstream business? And besides the hype, there is still not a lot of practical business application. It's getting better and better. But so at Verint, we focus our approach really on infusing the AI into our business workflows. And you've seen in Safwat's keynote just a second ago, we build a team of AI-powered bots, basically, to assist the workforce to solve a specific business issue. So, and each of these bots is dedicated to a specific task that's focused on delivering that task brilliantly. So, and that brings the AI capabilities to bear in the workflow. So, and the key to do this brilliantly, it's really about training that particular bot of that particular AI feature. So we train our bots on on billions of points of interaction data that we have, and therefore the bots are immediately useful out of the box. So, and just to give you a very practical example, we do embed large language models into summarization processes, for instance, with what you would call a summarization bot, for lack of a better word, really. So a customer might have had a chat with a bot and a live agent, and that interaction that needs to be summarized by the agent at the end of the call or the end of the interaction. So we let AI and our bot actually create that short summary of everything that has happened in the interaction. So the agent doesn't have to do that. And that shaves about 10 seconds off, the process of a customer interaction. And again, as Safwat says, that might not mean a lot, but 10 seconds in a call center will mean millions of dollars or euros or whatever currency, saved at the back end. So, and that's an example of AI usage. So to solve real business issues actually in quite a narrow, controlled way is currently the way forward for us to actually deal with this kind of technology. I hope that answers your question.
Definitely. Thank you so much for that, Maurice. Kaushik, I'm now going to come to you because you have a lot of experience in the healthcare domain. What are the few key challenges that you have been able to solve using digitization and AI in medical hospitals?
See, I think when I look at the use of AI or when I look at the use of digitization for healthcare, there are two parallels. One is obviously for all the clinical interventions, right? I think today artificial intelligence, digitization have really come a long way with regards to all the clinical outcomes are concerned. Today, with the help of, there was a time when you have to visit a center, you have to look at X-ray report, the doctor has to look at the reports and then give you medicines accordingly. Today, a doctor sitting miles away can still look at all the reports and prescribe medications over the phone. I think COVID also brought a huge transformation in terms of how healthcare is also changed a lot. I think there was a time a lot of CIOs kept working on the concept of telemedicine, right? But when COVID hit across the world, we did not have enough choice, but that was the route to be taken. And that itself brought a huge transformation in the way a healthcare typically operates. So what we have started doing, see, today's customer experience is all about, Ayushi, I will tag to what you said, is making it seamless for me, making it frictionless for me. Whether we like it, we do not like it, nobody wants to visit a healthcare setup. I mean to say, other industries are still excited about going. Except for expecting mothers, nobody is keen about visiting a healthcare. And thanks to our lifestyle and thanks to the digitization, today people are all glued on to their seats and we pick up a lot of lifestyle diseases. Typically the diabetes, you can call it, the hypertension, you call it. Now to treat such diseases, how AI is also helping us, gone are the days where literally every time you have to come to my medical center and there is always a chance you forget a medication, you need a medication refill. Today what happens, all the algorithms tell, hey, this patient is due for his next consultation in another 5 days from now. That sets an alarm to my consultant, sets an alarm to the patient. And we have put it beautifully as a program which is known as Manage Your Health Better. So today I am able to treat my hypertension patients, I am able to treat my diabetes patients, and thanks to AI, because this information earlier existed. But what AI does, it breaks and dices the information to the right stakeholder, and we can take advantage of the situation in making this place more healthier. So that is typically a clinical part of it. Non-clinical part of it, I give you a very simple example which we recently launched, and that brought a huge transformation in terms of our revenues. See, there we always used to do an activity, patients book appointment, but sometimes they don't turn up for that appointment. So there is always one is a potential loss of revenue, but also what happens is you are denying someone else who wanted that appointment and was not offered. So earlier, this all calls were done manually. And believe me, there was one incident where one very, very important person who did not get a call, he complained, I never got a call. We realized, and when we checked back, they said, no, the call was done. We went deeper, we realized there was no phone number that existed. So everything was very, very manual. Here, today we got a system in place whereby these calls are done using a AI-based engine. So the calls are done based on nationality, based on the language that he prefers. And based on that, by doing this, I will not say whether my realization have gone up, but just imagine for an entire business like Medcare hospitals, where we see almost close to 1 million patients per year in OP areas, all this is today digitized. The all calls are made by AI, and look at the amount of manpower that you are saving by this, and also providing an opportunity for other patients whereby I'm not blocking appointments unnecessarily. So I gave you one case that was clinical and other thing that was non-clinical. So that is where we harness the use of AI in healthcare.
Thank you, Kaushik. Those were two very, very nice, nicely displayed opportunities that AI is presenting the world. I would like to now direct a question to Tamer. Tamer, obviously, you are in the center of the entertainment arena, where contact centers still plays a very, very important part. I'd like to understand how AI is being imbibed and how you have seen it having a positive impact on contact center costs.
Okay, I think it's a very important question, Aisha, because this is actually where we all in that industry, in the contact center industry, starts from, and we are having the challenge until we reach the decision, because it's always about the investments, the money that will be paid for improving customer experience. So I think the key here is the return on investment. So very important that from my personal experience in that specific part, which took some good time, and I can share it confidently, I always advise that you start with your own use cases before you even go there to the decision of yes or no. It's not only about modernizing or implementing AI, it's more about how you will get the return on investment. So I'll give you very, very quick two examples on how you can show that your investment is actually returning back with really good savings. So for example, having the right use cases, understanding your whole reasons, and setting up the right AI tree, either an IVR or a chatbot, is really helping you to, one, serve the customer in less time in an easy way, and two, avoid these calls. So applying that logic and using the right use cases has dropped our calls dramatically once applied, because we saw that a lot of calls shouldn't be there. It's just a normal inquiry where we need to just put in the right direction. On the other hand, something as well was very, very important is that we were able, using AI chatbots, to reduce not only the calls, but also reduce the AHT for the calls that it requires human. So you were able to reduce the average handling time for agents that used to spend X number of minutes through some chatbot AI that can help the customer through part of the process and then transfer to an agent. So it ends up by the end that you are offering a solution that it's not costing the company anymore. It's actually saving us from headcount perspective, from cost perspective, and operational cost perspective as well. And the other example that I think is very important as well is the AI quality management or the transcripting part, because on the other hand, it gives you very, very detailed insights. I mean, every contact center has the quality management team, but they maximum listen to 5% of the calls, and it's human by the end of the day. The AI give you kind of 100% transcripting, where you can get the insights that can not only help you improve your internal processes, but also help you to create more smart routing and automation and digitization in your system that can also reduce more calls and reduce more average handling time, which reflects as well on the cost. I hope this answers your question.
Definitely. Thank you so much for that. I'd like to now invite some questions from the floor. If you have any questions that you'd like to direct to any of our panelists, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question, or if you'd rather like to use the chat window, please feel free to do that as well. Any questions that anyone would like to ask from the audience? Maxim, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So I'll kick off. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for all the insights. It's quite interesting, exciting. And I was quite interested in hearing more on the healthcare, but considering from a perspective of tourism, right? So you have, for example, medical tourism. How would you be able to integrate such tools by, for example, promoting medical tourism, or how would that work? You see, I'm kind of exploring this. So maybe you may have some ideas, or, let's think of from the top of our brains, and maybe something will come up, and then I can elaborate it further into putting a certain action or strategy towards it. But if anybody could assist, that would be great. Thank you.
So I will try attempting answering that, Maxim. And so just to let you know, as an organization, we get medical tourism is something that has always been very top on our priority. So we are one of the few hospitals which deals with a unique disease, which is known as SMA, right? Which is something to do with genetical disorder. And we get a lot of patients primarily today that comes from Turkey. Now, obviously, I would rather call it, but it is a beautiful combination of AI and human experience, and also in terms of you being present. See, healthcare is all about accessibility. So first, creating that awareness that such sort of treatment is available in some part of the world available today. Then getting all the people involved together to make that complete care pathway in terms of how it would be treated. And most important thing that happens with medical tourism, once they leave your country, how is going to be the follow-up mechanism? Because I think one of the great challenges, while you are here, everything gets taken care of. But when you're outside the radar, what are the channels in which we can still contact with the hospital, or the hospital can contact with the patient? I mean to say, it itself is a very, very lengthy topic, but we can discuss offline. But there's a lot of work that is happening in this direction, because I think that's definitely a way forward. Maxim.
Excellent, thank you. And I would definitely love to continue this conversation, so maybe we could connect further on this.
Absolutely, Maxim, absolutely.
Thank you.
Kasim, we have a question from you. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, good evening, guys, depending on where you guys are. I have a question for Tamir. So Tamir, I know with OTT services all over the world, UX has gone leaps and bounds. What are you guys at OSN doing from a content personalization, and how is AI helping you guys if you are using it?
Okay, I just heard that I have a problem with my mic, so I hope now my voice is clear.
It's better now.
Sorry for that, it was catching with the headset. So yeah, to your question, we tried our best to use AI and do some developments in our systems. Now we have done two things. One is that on the satellite business, we have introduced a new Android box, which allows us to use some AI functionality, and it's helping us understand the customer watching behavior, and accordingly, we have an AI recommendation engine that can recommend to the customer what to watch, and as well helping us a lot in the contact center when we manage the conversation with the customer, especially from a retention and churn perspective. On the other hand, on our streaming app, we have done a lot of changes and improvements in the last few years, but recently we have merged and acquired Anghami. So Anghami is a very, very enhanced platform that uses AI, and that merge, which will happen kind of effective next quarter, it will reach a point where I can say that the exercise I saw so far, which is not revealed yet, is that you speak to the AI and you tell him that I think I remember a movie where that scene happened, and it actually reply back to you with the movie and the details and what kind of other similar movies. So it's more of kind of your assistant to entertainment. And I think this will change the customer experience in that specific field.
Okay. Thank you, Tamer. I might continue our conversation with you offline, if you don't mind. We're understanding how the content personalization with ATT is done on a family level. So the parents, the children, how that's done. If you don't mind, we might have a...
Oh, absolutely. Please go ahead, please.
Okay.
Thank you, Kasim. Any other questions we have out there? All right, I am now going to move on to the next session, which is a very interesting session by Janti Dukan, the Principal Solutions Consultant in Verint, who's going to actually demonstrate to us through a technical demo on a customer journey with Verint. Janti, I would like to now invite you to actually share your demo out here.
Thank you, Ayusha. Just let me know when you see my screen.
And for the questions that are there in the comments column, we will take these up after Janti's presentation. So please bear with us. Yeah, please go ahead, Janti.
Thank you, Ayusha. Thank you very much. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your time today. My name is Janti. And for the next section of today's webinar, I will walk you through how a customer journey would look and feel using the Verint solutions. And through the next 15 minutes, I will touch base on many of the topics and highlights that Safwad mentioned in his presentation. Ultimately, our goal at Verint is to provide a connected experience end-to-end from the customer to the employee and to the business overall. So for today's demo, I did split it into 3 scenes to show you some of the many ways that we can address your requirements, your use cases using the Verint solutions. So let's start by setting up the story and move into scene 1, where we will target mainly intelligent virtual assistants and its capabilities. So our customer for today is Vivian, and Vivian is planning a trip very soon, and she needs to know some information regarding to her flight. Doing that, she opens her laptop and then she browses to her favorite travel website, which is called vTravel. And as soon as the website opens, she starts engaging with the website by clicking on the chat widget on the right-hand side of the screen, where it will enable a chat conversation. By doing that, it immediately pops up a chat conversation with a virtual assistant. The virtual assistant starts the conversation by asking, how can it help today? And then immediately, upon asking the question about the flight, we provide an answer. In this case, Vivian asked about a trip or a flight with a toddler, with a newborn baby that is sitting in her lap, with low effort in mind and with a minimal amount of information that is concise, that is clear, and that is straight to the point, tailored for her question. We provide the answer using our virtual assistants. Vivian follows that by another question, asking about the costs. And again, the virtual assistant provides the answer that is clear, consistent, and short. Finally, she asks a different type of question that is related to baggage allowance. And the virtual assistant, in its close to human being approach as possible, provide an answer that is clear, consistent, and easily digestible, as we saw before. And finally, she ends the conversation, and the conversation is ended from both sides. What we provide in this case is a 24/7 service to resolving customer queries faster and more efficient. Of course, the system is based on development, is based on learning, is based on evolution, and the use cases and the different topics or queries that we will be able to cover will continue to grow along the way of utilizing the solution. So for Scene 2, we will look at how we can see humans and bots working together as one. Back to Vivian, where something came up very urgent at work and she cannot fly anymore. So now she's considering sending her daughter to visit the grandparents. And for that, she needs some specific and detailed information. She goes back to vTravel, she browses the website on her laptop and goes back to her favorite chatbot for information. The conversation starts and she just types unaccompanied minor. In this case, the chatbot provides consistent information that is directly towards the requirement or the question. But the chatbot adds a functionality button, which is basically a custom URL based on the information and the intent of Vivian, the customer, that will redirect Vivian to the page that has all the information that is needed with regards to this request. As a continuation, Vivian is taking that this service that is available from vTravel or from the airline that provides unaccompanied minor catering, will it be available for my specific trip? So Vivian continues to ask for a specific route of airline or air travel. She wants to know if her daughter, when she flies from San Francisco to New York, is going to have the same service that the chatbot or virtual assistant is offering. The virtual assistant replies back with a follow-up question, understanding the mode or the type of travel that her daughter will have. Is it a new ticket, is it an existing ticket, or will she be completely alone? Vivian replies, and then the concise, clear, summarized answer is provided by the virtual assistant along with the action button that is available there. Now, at this point in time, Vivian decides, I want to speak to a live agent. And the virtual assistant informs her that it will assign a live agent, the next available live agent, to be part in this conversation. A few seconds before or a few seconds later, David is the agent that is selected to assist Vivian. And as soon as he looks at his Verint omni-channel agent desktop, he has the full view of the entire history of her conversation with the virtual assistant. Let's look at David's agent desktop software and see what he can see and do with it. So this is the Verint agent desktop that David uses on a daily basis for all types of interactions, not only chats. Because as you can see at the top of the screen, we can see chats, emails, and we can reply to phone calls as well. So it's an omni-channel agent desktop that can address the complete modalities that you have in operation. And in a seamless handoff, we provide the history of the conversation between the IVA and Vivian to David. So that as soon as David starts communicating and engaging with the customer, Vivian, he will be able to pick up immediately where the chatbot or the virtual assistant left off. So the tool caters for channel blending, and this is a very important topic that Safwat touched upon as well. So we provide channel blending capabilities within our agent desktop. So no matter what modalities you have, we can cater for them and we can address them, and the agents will use a single agent desktop. And as part of this engagement, then David starts conversing with Vivian and sending her messages on the chat window. Moving to our last scenario of today's demo, we will see how using the Verint solutions, we can provide proactivity, engagement, and automation as well. And in this scenario, we fast forward from the day Vivian's daughter flew on that trip to 10 days later when she is scheduled to come back from her grandparents' house. Because 10 days later, Vivian receives a notification on the phone, and it's from Valent Airlines. It is a proactive and important notification that is using WhatsApp as a modality and a communication channel. She opens the WhatsApp message, and it's a notification that is proactive, that is important, and it is sent to her based on the flight booking that she's responsible for. It's a flight delay notification. And there's a communication that will start now, where on the same channel that she received the communication on, which is WhatsApp, the virtual assistant is engaged. And she starts communicating with the virtual assistant. The virtual assistant starts providing information and a link for checking the flight status online. After checking the flight status, she noticed that there's another delay and asks what are other options that are available. The virtual assistant replies back with the option of changing the flight, rescheduling the flight, which is a zero-cost option. At this point in time, Vivian needs to speak to someone, and she asks the virtual assistant to speak to someone else, to a live agent. She needs to address this issue because she wants her daughter to come back tonight. The agent says, the virtual assistant says that it will escalate to a live agent with regards to your inquiry. We are providing a complete one workforce concept between the bots and the human beings. Seamless handover between bots and humans is definitely at play with every interaction. And by coincidence, it is David again, that the agent selected to assist Vivian with the full history of the conversation, of the new conversation with the IVA and the historical part. And this time, David uses his Valent Agent desktop to go through the multiple experiences. A few seconds before he picked up the interaction with Vivian, he was dealing with a different messaging platform and answering a different question for this engagement. Then immediately the chat from Vivian pops up. And if we look at the messaging platform, it's coming from WhatsApp. And we cater for channel blending. We cater for different channels. So the first interaction was from a web chat. This is from WhatsApp. It can be from any different modality. Again, the seamless conversation where we transfer the transcript of the historical information between the virtual assistant and the agent into the live conversation. And then we start enabling the agent with information for providing this experience. Now, at this point in time, David starts replying and informing Vivian that he's aware of what's happening. He knows that she wants to reschedule and do a rebooking, and he starts helping her. Let's see what other tools are available in this agent desktop that David uses throughout the day. There's a profile section for Vivian, and once David clicks it, you'll be able to see all the interaction, the historical interaction that Vivian had with the contact center. No matter what the type of interaction is, you'll be able to see WhatsApp interactions, live chat interactions, inbound, outbound, doesn't matter. These are all related to Vivian. Interaction history provides a large wealth of details. So just by clicking one of these historical interactions, we can see the transcript in front of us. We can see all the wrap codes and tags and information that was assigned to this interaction. And finally, we can see all the knowledge articles and URLs that were referenced during the conversation, whether it was with the IVA or whether it was with the live agent or even both. But throughout these different tabs that I have just shown you, at any point in time, the chat conversation is always docking on the left and always visible, always available, so that whatever message or communication that is being pushed by Vivian is also always visible by David, no matter what functionality he is using. And for making sure that we have a seamless connected experience, the conversation from Vivian's perspective as a customer still remains on WhatsApp, even though that David is escalated to or engaged as a live agent. So this is what we provide in terms of connected, seamless customer experience from a customer perspective, but I would still apply that from an agent perspective as well, due to our different channel capabilities, historical information capabilities, knowledge, and all of those details. So at this point in time, we finished the scenarios, and this was the last scenario for today. But I hope it was informative. I hope it was engaging at a high level, and it connected with the messages that Safwat mentioned, because there are a lot of similarities between what he mentioned and what we have addressed today in terms of concepts. This is what we do at Verint, engagement at its best. It's been almost 15 minutes. I know it's quite short, but I hope this was exciting enough for you to have more conversations and more detailed conversations with us. Thank you for your listening. Thank you for listening, and hope you had a good time.
Thank you, Janty. That was very useful. And again, it's all about the practical applications of these technologies that are, and especially AI and chatbots that are now picking up in this whole digital CX ecosystem. I'm going to now pick up a question that Aisha raised, which is how can we leverage AI in an increasing the inclusion levels of targeted audience, especially for individuals with disability, such as hearing disabilities. Would anyone in our speaker panel like to take this question up? Maurice, Kaushik, Tamer, Safwat, anyone who'd like to address how you might have done it at your end, or how Aisha can be assisted via a targeted audience? It could be a different scenario, but how you could leverage AI to increase the inclusion levels of targeted audience.
Do not have a ready-made case reference material available, so might not be able to comment from a healthcare perspective right away. Have to do some research to see if there is a used case, because that will be more relevant. So I don't have a ready-made used case right now to revert back on this.
I would not say that we have a specific use case, because it's very rare, but I would share something which I think at that time, if it was there, AI would have been a great help. In Egypt here, we have, where I'm from, we have 4 telco companies, and we are around 120 million people. One of the telco companies, there was a head of customer experience visiting one of the shops, and he noticed that there was a kind of interaction between a customer and one of the representatives, but they have been writing on a paper to each other. So he approached, and he understood briefly that that guy is deaf and mute. And at that time, the guy did something very, for me, innovative and inspiring. He got the customer to his office, and he offered him a job. So actually, he offered him to work for that telco and be one of the representatives that can help the deaf and mute. And he asked him further if he can introduce him to his community, because he wants to hire one in each store. The story is not here yet, and that was not the inspiring part only. The inspiring part is 2 things. One, that change or that action went viral across that community, where they have their closed community channels, and there was a huge lift and shifting between the 3 other telcos to that specific telco, because everyone appreciated the action and they moved there. On the other hand, as a corporate, they did something very smart, where they introduced, since they identified that community, they introduced special package for these customers that doesn't use voice and more to use the and I think getting back to that story, which was like 12 years ago, if you have AI at that time in your systems as a telco, you would easily identify that that customer is not using voice, or he's using more of signs and so. So I think a lot of areas that's not yet explored to that type of communities, not only the FAMU, but other customers, that AI can help big time in changing their experience, and from a company perspective as well.
Thank you, Tamer. Appreciate that. I think that Aisha does have some very specific questions, so I'm going to leave it to the Verint team maybe to go back to her with certain solution sets that you may have, which are typical of the need that Aisha has. So we leave it at that. Kasim, you've just said that you can share a case study where you hired one agent in your team at a telco in Oman that can communicate to deaf and mute individuals, and you had a dedicated WhatsApp number for those customers whereby a live demo with the agent could be done. So there you go, Aisha. Kasim has probably got something which is quite... Kasim, you're on the call. Would you like to elaborate a bit more on that?
Yes, so I think Tamir covered most of what maybe I did. So I was heading ahead of customer care and customer experience team, and we had a customer visitors that was actually deaf and mute. Funny enough, I actually found out that one of my agents, his brother is deaf and mute, and he can communicate with them. So that agent, we got him a dedicated WhatsApp number. We started tagging those customer accounts. We had, I believe, 4 or 5 customers that were deaf and mute, and they had direct access to that agent through a video call, not necessarily through the IVR, to communicate with them and resolve their issues. It wasn't AI as such, but it was the best we could do at that stage.
Amazing. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Kasim, for sharing that insight. Now, before we leave, and I know we're just slightly over time now, I do have a question for Maurice to wrap this really exciting exchange that we've had. Maurice, would you like to elaborate what you believe is the top technology enabler that is fueling the CX transformation that we're seeing and all these pertinent questions that are coming up from these executives? Would you like to give us some more insights on that?
Well, very quickly, because I think we're running out of time. So yeah, we've talked about ChatGPT a lot, but you saw in Janti's piece, for instance, how IVA works, and so the virtual assistants, and I think that is one of the biggest enablers that we see at this point in time to really get AI and CX automation going. Good IVAs can really effectively deflect customers away from using calls, and they can dive straight into a digital channel with a high percentage of tasks being completed immediately. So I think the only word of warning there is, not every IVA or chatbot is actually an enabler. We all have examples where you're in a continuous loop in a bot that you can't seem to get out of. So the risk is that, a bad application of a bot is actually really detracting from good customer service. So you need an IVA that will be able to read your intent really well, that understands what you're saying or what you're typing, and then directs you to the right point in time. And secondly, and it's very often overlooked, is it's quite easy to have a chatbot on a digital channel. However, to understand voice as an IVA is a very different ball game. But very often in contact centers, in the voice part, that is where you can really make the savings, because that's where the cost sits. So you have to make sure when you choose an IVA that it is really good at the voice channel as well, so you can capitalize on that. So that's really all I wanted to say about it. So thank you very much for giving me the time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today, especially our panelists and speakers for sharing their perspectives. As we develop our CX strategy for 2024, I'm sure we've got some lovely ideas that we can now start including into it. And we look forward to catching up with you all at some point in time. Until then, stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you in the new year. Thank you for joining today.